and the warring parties in Sudan have signed a deal to alleviate the suffering of the civilian population, but have made little progress towards a peace deal. The agreement that was reached in Saudi Arabia includes undertakings to let civilians to flee the conflict zone and protect relief workers. Well, our correspondent Barbara Plett-Usher is covering this story from Nairobi, and she has more on how big of a breakthrough this is.
So they're not talking yet about ending the conflict in terms of a permanent cessation of hostilities and an actual negotiations for a solution to the conflict. They're still very much talking about just stopping the fighting long enough to deal with very pressing and emergency humanitarian needs. And so the talks, the U.S.-Saudi jointly sponsored talks for a ceasefire are about that. It's a short-term proposal, up to 10 days. There would be various security measures agreed on by both sides to make sure that all of these promises can be kept, including a monitoring mechanism. That is something the State Department has said they're talking about, which would involve both U.S. and Saudi input as well as international input. Then, if that ceasefire is agreed, if there's enough of a pause to deal with humanitarian issues, then they would have expanded discussions to talk about a more permanent solution. But we're nowhere close to that yet. I mean, even in this statement of humanitarian principles, it says we recognize that this in no way connects us to any participation in political talks or political agreements. So both sides, I think it's safe to say, are basically in a power struggle that they both think they can win militarily, but they are stopping or planning or hoping to stop long enough so that civilians can be helped. The mediators are hoping that this will give momentum to perhaps getting onto a pathway of a permanent solution, but they have also acknowledged that that is a very difficult prospect.